that we're never sure if we're actually live, and I think we are live now. All right, welcome everybody back. Welcome everybody back to another edition of Chairgatin. I'm your host Rattlesnake, coming at you live once again from Austin, Texas. Unfortunately, my co-host Dakota Drake is still here. And who's our guest today, Dakota?
Oh, this one's a good one. It's a heavy hitter right here. You know, we've had some good guests on, but the Iceberg has blessed us with his presence. He's got some awesome videos and content showing up on YouTube, so check him out. Let's get this episode started.
Yeah, and he's a lot smarter than us. Let's get into it.
The author himself.
Hello, come right in. Rock, flag, and eagle.
Hey.
Here we are. We're live. Everything's working. I checked.
Yeah.
So welcome on. We have the Iceberg, most notably from the NASCAR Weekly podcast. He also makes his own content. Oh, look at that.
There you go. I got it.
The merch
around here.
There you go.
Y'all selling that merch?
Yeah, it's on my Teespring store.
Oh,
Okay.
I got like all three logos and everything, and the old ones too.
Oh,
We'll have
nice.
to get some links in here. Just check it out.
Yeah.
I gotta find out about that thing in a month.
Yeah, we've now gotten like half of the NASCAR Weekly podcast on here.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You and Eric. So yeah, we got to complete the cycle, I guess. Yeah, we're happy you're here. You know, we don't want to pick favorites, but you're our favorite from that show.
Don't tell the others.
Yeah, don't tell the others. It's not like we're live right now or anything.
Yeah, we're good.
So,
we're good.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. I figured pretty much this entire episode we're going to be talking about Kansas because there's a lot to talk about with Kansas. Dakota, you sent me the itinerary. Do you want to start off
Ooh.
one of your
Let's
topics?
jump right off the block. Or do you want, I guess, Iceberg, you got anything you want to plug? You want to talk about what you've been up to lately? Or do you want to jump right in the itinerary?
We can jump into it. I can talk about myself later.
All right, yeah, we'll plug you at the end, baby boy. All right. Hey, Dalton in the comments. If you watch
Already,
this
you
race,
know he's going to be here.
If you watch the race today, if you're a new fan, old fan, you probably remember, a lot of backlash of the package we had at the fall Kansas race last year. Joey Gano stays out, with 2 tires, whatever. Kevin runs down, can't pass him. We got aero issues. But today, I feel like we saw a badass race start to finish. I mean, there was some lulls in there, but there was passing. There was guys. Larson started like P32 won the first stage almost. The guys were going front and back. We had comers and goers. I just feel like this race was so much better than what we saw last year at Kansas. I know the aero package is kind of shitty, is what it is, but this race I feel is giving us a little better runs. What do you guys think?
I agree. I was at the race last year at Kansas. I froze my ass off in the stands on that one, and those last like 40 laps between Harvick and Logano, I believe it was absolutely just like I wanted to pull my hair out. And I think I even put it at one point on Twitter. I was like, man, this race is really good, especially compared to last year. Like last year's the anomaly. But Kansas just is a track that's like Chicagoland. It's like I don't know what they paved it with, but it's aged so much better than tracks that have been repaved in the last 10 years.
Right. Texas.
And it's, yeah, Texas is a lost cause. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, there were parts of it I didn't like. It got strung out, but that's just normal for any race for the most part that's over a mile long, I think. But I liked it. I really liked it, and I was really pleased with how much better it was than both of last year's races there.
I agree. I think this race was like out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. I've always been a fan of Kansas. I've always stand for Kansas, I guess you could say, just because I like going to those races. But also, usually, I think it produces pretty good racing because it's a track that you can run high or low, kind of like Homestead. And I love Homestead. So I enjoy tracks like this where, you can see Larson and Reddick shine, but also you can see guys like, Harvick and Kyle Busch, who are notoriously good. Come up front. So it's just a fun race to watch. It's a fun track. I'm glad that it was a good race this year. And more importantly,
Dakota's
stupid glasses.
But I thought there was throughout the race. I was like, dude, look who's coming up here. We had Chastain up there. Reddick drove straight up to second for a minute. I mean, I think Busher ended up getting a good finish with his crazy, pit road woes we'll get to. There was a lot of guys up there at the end that I was like, oh shit, Matty D was looking strong in the Ford. I really like to see a lot of you kind of just saw a lot of different names up there, and then of course Cream rose to the top. You had guys battling for the lead. Larson dominated. It was a good race, man. We had a lot of lead changes.
Well, let me look at it really quick. I believe if I saw it right, I think DiBenedetto got a top 5 today. I think he got like 4th.
Yeah, P4 for Matty D.
Dang,
that dude needs a ride next year.
Well, there's a little rumor I saw it floating around Twitter. I'm sure y'all saw some stuff. It was like, and then they kind of mentioned it on the broadcast, but it was like, Penske. What if Penske goes 4 cars, opens up a seat, just brings Matty D over, puts Cindric in the 21?
Yeah, they said it in the broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally like, yeah, why don't you do that? Y'all doing this 33 one-off thing. Y'all clearly can make a 4th car.
It would be interesting to see how well he performs in like top equipment like that.
Yeah. I don't know how money works over there, but I think Roger Penske kind of owns half the country, so you probably could do it.
I think just to be a matter of sponsorship, honestly. Like that'd be the toughest part. I know coming out of COVID, like stuff's getting better, but it's still not great per se. Yeah. I think that's just the only thing, because I like Matt DiBenedetto, and I think it's weird. He gets either too much hate or he's way overhyped. There's seems to be no middle ground with him at all. It's either people think he's a top 5 talent out there, or people think he's absolute trash. And I think he's right in the middle. I think he's a serviceable or good driver, and if he just gets the right chance, I think he'll perform. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to set the world on fire. But I'd like to see what he can do. I just kind of think the 21 is almost a 4th Penske car at this point. So
yeah, true.
He's gotten better. I mean, he's improved. So I'll give him that.
Yeah, it kind of goes to what you're saying. Yeah, at this point, it really is just
built in the same shop.
It's the 4th Penske car, and I totally agree with you. I don't think he's a future champion, but I think if you want a driver that can get you some quality finishes, I think he could be that guy. I see him similar to Ross Chastain, where either people absolutely adore him and think he's like the next greatest driver for whatever reason, or people just write him off. Whereas I think he's actually a good quality driver, but is he ever going to be a championship driver? Probably not. But yeah, if you're a team that, you need somebody that can get you some decent finishes in a seat, which I don't think there is any team like that, but there you go. That's your guy.
I think it's just a feel-good story. Like, used to drive the back marker teams, driving, getting good little runs here and there on some of these short tracks.
I think he can also bench press more than anybody. So if that's a thing that you're looking for.
He works out, but he finally gets a good ride, lands a good ride with 21, and has some good speed. But it's also like, it's like, we want to see that W, man. Like, if he gets a W, to just be like, okay, if he quits racing, that's fine. You want to see this guy. He's made it this far. Like, come on, AD, we need this.
I think it's kind of like a Paul Menard, honestly, like a more emotional Paul Menard.
Yeah, more outgoing, buffer Paul Menard.
Yeah, he's got they both had talent, but at the same time, if they get a win, that's gonna be it probably. Like, I see him getting like 1 or 2 wins as his peak if he can.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't see him getting more than 2 wins in his career unless something crazy happens and he gets dropped in like some great equipment. But yeah, I don't.
Well, he had a super bad string of bad luck right there, and then like now he's plugged off these top 10s, and boom, right now he's in playoff contention. Like, they were writing him off at the beginning of the season, and he's wrecking at Martinsville and all this and that. But it's crazy what a couple good runs will get you going.
Yeah, and speaking of good runs, I wore my Tyler Reddick shirt.
I was super impressed with late today.
In the past 5 weeks, he's had 4 top 10 finishes. He's really been coming out of his kind of slump that he had there. Obviously, he got second place early on this season, but he kind of had a slump for the past like 2 months. But yeah, these past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, he's really been showing up, and it's a driver that I've always been hyping up because I thought he was extremely talented and ballsy enough to get a win. And, the RCR equipment has looked better this year than it was last year. It's still not quite there, but I'm happy. I mean, RCR has been putting together top 10 finishes.
Both cars this weekend. I was looking here. Austin Dillon got up to 10.
And they both finished top 10 last week.
It's consistently getting better and better. Like, I don't think, the thing with RCR with me is that I think that they've always been this kind of team. They've just had really great drivers that have vaulted them up through time. You have Dale Earnhardt and Kevin Harvick consecutively.
Right.
Jeff Burton and Clint Boyer are thrown in there. But honestly, I think that like Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, he sold me at Homestead in 2019 when he won the Xfinity title. Like just watching that from the track, I was like, I'm sold on this guy. This guy is a future star. But Austin Dillon just gets like completely thrown under the radar. Like he's like a 10th to 12th place driver every week with equipment that usually is like 15th to 20th. Like both those guys are great. And it was really fun watching Reddick fly up there. I think at one point wasn't he as high as like second at one point in the first game?
They were like three-way battling.
Him
versus Kyle Larson.
Him, Larson, and Busch were like right there for the stage one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, this track lends to Reddick because he likes to run high, just like Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
So Miami, where he got second, and then now here, he likes to run against the wall because he's ballsy enough to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think the Austin Dillon thing also comes down to a lot of people hated Austin Dillon. And I think the hate's kind of worn off because people are like, okay, he's been there long enough. He's been fairly consistent. Like, I don't really care to hate him anymore. But people used to really hate Austin Dillon.
He had a real bad rap when he came in. Well, that's one thing on the Reddick is he kind of reminds me of a Larson. And it's like the boy can drive. He's clearly a great driver. But it's like, is this as good as he's going to be in the 8 RCR ride? Or is if like a Larson, if he got in better equipment, could he light the world on fire? I mean, I don't
100% good.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yes.
Is he a Reddick? Is he a RCR ride or die, or could he fill some other rides down the road? Who knows?
So, I mean, for me personally, I'm an RCR fan. I don't want to see him go, but I also am aware of his talent, and I think if he did go to, Hendrick or something like that, or I don't foresee that happening, but another Chevy team, for instance, with better equipment, which they are the only other Chevy team with better equipment. I think he would dominate. I mean,
well, they're affiliated, RCR and Hendrick. I believe they have an affiliate with when it comes to their engine program. So I think with RCR, it's just give it time. Sure, Like I feel like they're where Hendrick was in 2019. They just need another year or two to get.
Well, they've really been one of, if not the main team, preparing for this next gen car.
Yeah,
they've been the one out there doing everything for it. So I think that could help also. That's why going into this year, I really wasn't expecting anything because I was like, I know that they're throwing everything at the next gen. I assume RCR is just kind of written this year off and they're just preparing. So I'm as an RCR fan, I'm surprised and fairly impressed. Obviously they haven't got a win yet, but Austin Dillon's in the playoffs and points. He could point his way in at this point. Pun intended. And who knows? Reddick might get a win. I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
Darlington is like I believe is one of Austin Dillon's most consistent tracks. Like he's had more top tens there. Like I think.
Yeah, he almost won it last year in the playoff.
Yeah.
He was hunting down Harvick.
Give him a lap more. I think he would have won that race. So he could win this weekend. And I think that put a huge point crush on guys who haven't won yet, especially even Harvick, depending on how many more people win.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Darlington won last year when Reddick was like lighting it up, running the high line. He drove from like 30th up to 4th in like the first stage. I don't think he had a good second race there, but Reddick fits in good right here at Darlington, just like Austin Dillon does. Which,
by the way, can I mention just how awesome this schedule has been? Just the fact that y'all just reminded me that we're going to Darlington now. I'm pumped. Dude, this schedule has been awesome.
Now it's here. I'm like, maybe I should have got Darlington tickets.
I know, right?
Man, it'd been real cool to go.
I love all these tracks, like back to back to back. I've been enjoying this season so much more than I expected.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm excited for too is it's Darlington with the 750 package, and then I think after that is Dover, which is also with the 750 package, and then Coda, which I've been hyping up Coda since 2018. So like
I'm the opposite. I don't think Coda's going to be good, but I'm open to it being good. Obviously, I live here, so I'm going to be there.
I'm interested in seeing it. I want to see how it's going to go.
Right. I'm open to it. Yeah.
I can't wait. I got my tickets like as soon as it opened up. Like I was like, I'm ready. Yep. I'm gonna be
You're
in
the
Coda.
first guest we've had on. I've been trying to push everybody to come to Austin. You're the first guest. If you need a place to stay, this is a guest bedroom. You can stay here. I've offered it to every guest.
I'm sharing a hotel room with a few other people.
Okay.
There's a few
shit.
people who haven't said if they're going yet, like, so I don't want to spoil it for
Hey,
them.
well, you got a guide right here. Show you Austin.
There might be a pretty big party of people coming. Like,
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
when Eric was on, he mentioned that like y'all might be going, so I wasn't sure.
I for sure am going.
Okay.
I don't know what anyone
believe,
else has said.
I
so
believe
don't wanna
Eric's
say.
going, but I think he's going with his dad, he mentioned.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
think
try to
that-
meet up
I
with
think so,
Eric. Yeah, so we'll have to do some kind of meetup while we're there. I'm going to be there all weekend. So yeah, we'll have to meet up. We'll have to do something for sure. I'm excited just because NASCAR's finally coming to Austin, Texas. I mean, I can't believe that's happening. I never thought that would happen, but it'll be fun.
I can't wait. I like staying only like 10 minutes from the track, so I'm like, man, I could just do my morning run and just go right to the track right after. My
Hell
morning
yeah.
run is to the track.
Where the
Heck
hell are
yeah.
you staying? That's 10 minutes from the track.
I got some deal with Expedia on like a hotel that was nearby, and I'm like, I'll take it.
A hotel nearby the track, because the track's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you've ever been.
No, I haven't. I looked at the map and it was like a 10-minute drive away. Like,
Okay, because
so-
I live in like downtown, and it's like a 40-minute drive for me, which is like the dumbest thing, by the way. The track is about to go bankrupt. I think they're about to file for bankruptcy. They might lose the F1 race. The whole reason they built this like
Sounds like
$2 billion track, it's because they built it like an hour outside the city in the middle of these farms. So I just feel bad for everybody coming to Austin.
Isn't there an airport nearby it too?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
up by. It's not far from the airport.
Yeah, the airport is, or the hotel is like between the airport and the track. Like,
okay, then you are
It's
pretty close to
awesome.
it. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
But it's pretty far outside the city. So people come into Austin, kind of like how I want to go to Nashville because it's Nashville. You know, like so you get to go to the race, but also you get to have fun in Nashville. I just feel bad for these people that come to Austin and they're like, "Oh, let's have fun in the city." I'm like, "All right, well, get a 40-minute Uber drive. You know, like
Wait,
have fun with that."
Are you going to Nashville too?
Well, I'm trying to. We're trying to set it up. Dakota's going to be there 100%.
Yeah, I already got my
Won't be
tickets to
there.
Nashville. Oh boy.
I'm gonna be like half
either
the
way.
races this summer.
Oh
Like-
heck yeah, man. We got a lot coming up. I think I'm going to a race every month. At least one race every month.
Yeah, there's like a span of time over the summer. I think like 5 straight weeks where I'm gonna be in a different city every weekend. I
Oh
freaking
hell
love it.
yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
That's
gonna be
That's all.
awesome.
That's the dream, dude.
It's
Yeah,
great.
Nathan, you've clearly been over there. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the dream, man. Just getting to go. Me and Dakota have been going to quite a bit. I mean, we went to Atlanta and then Dega. That was
Dega.
what, like a month apart?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nice.
It was pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got I'm gonna be at Charlotte next or the end of this month, and then I'll be in
Right.
Nashville, and then I got Atlanta in July. So like boom, boom, boom.
I
Yeah.
think I'm probably gonna make Atlanta in July. Like
Dude.
once they said they're doing full capacity, I'm like,
Yeah,
I
dude.
support that.
Bring it on. If you need any help, ride, stay, or whatever, man. I live like 15 minutes from the track.
Yeah, he really does. He lives right down the road from the track.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'll
We'll have to
see-
meet up and do something.
Definitely. I've just been like, I have this huge Google Doc, like 3 pages of like all the different races for every series, IndyCar races, SRX
Damn, dude.
races. I'm like, everything's opening up. I'm taking full advantage of it. Let's go. That's
Well, if
basically
y'all-
my take.
If y'all need a tour guide for Austin, let me know. I'll show you around, take you out. Like I said, I live right down here. So, yeah, if you're looking to have a good time, yeah.
I think Darian said he's going, so I can say that too. Darian's going to the Dakota race.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can all meet up. If y'all want to go out and do anything.
Yeah, I just have to see like what we have planned and what other stuff might pop up, and once I get closer, I'll know.
Yeah, y'all are
more.
famous. Y'all are like sponsored by
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Super
Oh,
And
fun.
they're gonna
that
be
far.
like, I'm like trying to take them out to stuff, and NASCAR is like over here taking them up to suites.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm just a dude with a mic. That's my big thing.
I don't know, man. I saw Darian at the National Super Speedway creating content for them.
There's something really cool coming with that in June. That's
That'll
all
be
I'll
cool.
say.
Shit.
That's all
Yeah.
I'll say.
Heck yeah, man.
And you're gonna be at that race, right?
Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna be there from I think Tuesday or Wednesday through the next Monday. Like I'm just gonna be there the whole week.
Oh heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
staying
good
with,
place to be for a week.
I'm looking at like eventually moving down to Nashville, so I'm
Hell
just
yeah.
like I might as well
shit.
start scouting. I mean,
Great place to move. Yep.
I've been there like 7 or 8 times in the last year, just because Danny B lives down there,
Right.
just a little north of Nashville.
Selling.
And
Does he still sell the Toyotas, or is he too big for
no,
that now?
he has another gig now. He
Okay.
has another one.
He got too big.
But I'll tell you what, like, have you guys ever been to the fairgrounds?
Mm-mm.
No, I've never been in the fairgrounds. I've just like gone out in Nashville.
Danny and his wife took Darian and I out there last year after the All-Star race.
Yeah.
And neither of us have been able to shut the hell up about the fairgrounds ever since. Like, we were there and we're like, okay, that needs a change for Cup. That needs to. I think this can stay the same. Like, we were absolutely sold. It's like a homey short track, but also you're like, this is perfect for Cup. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Hell yeah.
It's
Make
like
a blueprint, be like NASCAR. Here you go. We made this.
It's like, I think 0.6 of a mile. The banking is halfway between Martinsville and Bristol, and it's just it's an absolutely great facility. The only bad part is the people around it.
Yeah, is it going to be able to happen though?
I think it will, honestly.
I mean, I feel like the rumor just keeps like snowballing and keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like the more I see, the more it sounds like it could happen.
I hear different things though, you know.
So
like
there was this meeting for it with the fair board, and I listened through this entire 2-hour thing. And I'll tell you, as a racing fan, you will absolutely be like pissed off by the end of it, no doubt whatsoever. They have a bunch of people
where they're like, it's gonna be loud.
Yes, I mean, and it's like a bunch of people that are like, I don't want a bunch of NASCARs making it loud, and that immediately set my piss meter.
Oh yeah, dude. You're just like, shut up.
When they call it a NASCAR.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, we don't even know how the soccer stadium is, so we need to wait for that. And it's like, well, that might not be ready till 2025. Like, the city wants this now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the May 11th is when they're having the meeting to push the plans forward. And if stuff goes well with that, they can actually have a blueprint and like get stuff together for it. I have no idea what we were talking about before, but we just like went off on this tirade.
That's kind of how we roll, man. We just go down rabbit hole to rabbit hole and just keep it flowing.
My concern though is, are you not worried that because they have another race in Nashville now, they're just like, all right, whatever, we got the race in Nashville, that's good enough, we just wanted to get to Nashville, that's the whole point.
I feel like that's a foot in the door. Like that Super Speedway is almost just like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, but I know NASCAR has just wanted to be in Nashville, right? Which makes perfect sense. It's a great city to be in. It's in their like domain for fan base. Makes perfect sense. I could just see NASCAR being like, the fairground seems like too much trouble. We're already in Nashville. Let's just do this.
I think it's going to be the opposite way, just from like just people I've talked to and the way the fan response has been. It almost feels like people are just dismissing the super speedway. Like, of all the new tracks added, like Road America, Coda, the Daytona Road Course, they're like, National Super Speedway is the one that everyone's like, whatever. And they're the ones I think who are putting in the most work. Like the stuff Eric Moses is doing and the stuff that whole crew at the Super Speedway is doing to get this show ready. It's like, they're busting their asses out there. Like, I won't say
that is a good point. I don't hear much about the Super Speedway. You're right. Like, I hear so much more about every other track. Obviously, Dirt Bristol was like the biggest one, but even compared to Dakota, you know,
I'll admit, I bought a jar of dirt. I got it.
Nice, dude.
Oh yeah, for charity, I had to do it.
Sure, tell yourself that's the reason you bought dirt.
Yeah, they like went out. They went out like next to a little dirt path next track, and we're just like,
right. They're like,
here, sell that for $30.
It was a good cause, at least.
Just playing. All right, y'all want to transition straight into our second topic, the pit road call with the uncontrolled tire today in the race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen people on both sides of the fence. I'll start off with my argument is every time I've ever seen this uncontrolled tire come out of pit road, you're like, they zoom in on it, boom, caution's like the next lap or two. You're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a caution right there. I was telling my wife and watched the race and said, well, there's our caution. And then they're like, oh, Chris Buescher's still leading. And then I was like, okay, I guess we're not doing the yellow. And then they talked about how far away it was from the track. It's fine. And then they started saying, oh wait, we're gonna let pit cycles cycle out. And they let Chris Buescher pit. Kyle Larson takes the lead, and then throw it, yellow. And it's like, dude, that y'all just totally manipulated the whole race. That was my whole thought on it.
Yeah, I was I went off a bit on Twitter on that one, and my take on it was if it wasn't set up for a caution at that moment, if it wasn't that dangerous in that moment, what made it more dangerous 20 laps later?
Right.
And I did a little math with it, and I'm like, okay, all 40 cars were still on the track at that point. That tire was passed over those 20 laps at least 800 times. And then they decided on the 801st.
Of course, you're doing
that it's the most dangerous then. Or
when it still hasn't moved. Yes.
That was my thing, dude. If you're not going to throw it right when the tires stop, don't throw it at all.
Well, and it was the right call. Like it's dangerous if a car does go through there and hit somebody. It's gonna be unsafe. But it's like, man, you manipulated it.
Exactly. You can't say it's not unsafe. It's okay right now, but it's unsafe. It's like, dude, it's unsafe from the get-go.
It's like if, like, in an NFL game, if a camera fell from the rafters onto the field and they went, we'll just wait to the end of this drive to see, and then we'll like stop the game and go from there.
Yeah,
like
exactly, dude.
No, better yet, not even on the field, on the sideline. Like somebody threw a bottle and it was on the sideline, and they zoom in on it and they go, yeah, we can still play the game. And then the second that something starts to happen, they go, oh, never mind. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
The Patriots aren't winning. We need to call.
I did not like the late caution. It almost seemed like they wanted, like, hey, well, we want to restart with 30 to go, not 50 to go. Is almost what the vibe I got. They were like, oh, well, we don't want Busher or Stenhouse to be up front. Let's let this cycle out. And then, yeah, we're going to throw it now. It irritated me, dude.
And it's like they went. I mean, it technically is consistent. They've always, at least in the last couple of years, have started to do that more. It's just more extraordinary in this instance because Busher stayed out an extra 20 laps. I'm like, I get if it's like 2 laps later, everything cycled through. I get that. That's fine. But it's like when you're gonna tell me when there are no cars on pit road, everyone can make it to the end, like, except this one guy is doing something,
He's waiting for a caution to hopefully have some luck. And they're literally saying, go fuck yourself. When you pit, we're going to throw the yellow.
I mean, I think
even Roush tweeted that. Like, they're like, weird yellow or something like that.
I remember it happened in Atlanta one year. Like, remember that tire rolled out and the guy ran out and got it and came back and they grilled his ass alive?
That was pretty stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that was super dangerous. But, like, they threw the caution immediately.
I mean, I think it's the only way to look at it from NASCAR's point of view is it was either malicious or ignorant, right? Either it was malicious and they did this to kind of manipulate the race, or they're just ignorant and they were just like, well, shit, when are we going to throw this? Or should we throw it? Like, we need to get the tire. So it's one or the other, and both are kind of scary. But those are the only 2 options I can think of.
I'll be honest. This might not be a popular thing with broadcasters. I think it was a Fox decision. Personally,
ooh, yeah,
I think that a lot of these decisions, when it comes to late race calls, a lot of it comes down to what the broadcasters want. I mean, it made for a better broadcast for Fox at the end of the race.
Well, if
someone turned on with 30 to go, for instance, and they just saw from a restart on, they're hooked. That was awesome. But if, like, you're a legit racing fan who's watching it and you see that happen, you're like, that looks kind of fishy. But at the same time, we're gonna still keep watching. So it helps them, and it might not be like the CEO dude of Fox being like, hey, don't throw it till now, but it just might be someone being like, it would be pretty good if we got another restart with 30 to go.
Well, do you think broadcasters have that kind of pull where they can tell NASCAR throw a flag?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I think that people underestimate the amount of pull that the broadcasters have. I mean, they're putting billions of dollars into the sport. They need a return on investment. I think it's the same reason they put, for instance, on a more extreme note, it's the same reason they put Jeff Gordon in the chase in 2013. He did not deserve to be there.
Technically, Michael Waltrip the piss out of me. Yeah.
Well, technically, Michael Waltrip Racing broke no rules.
Right.
It was an excuse. It was just an excuse.
Dude, when they added, like, we're adding a 13th, I was like, dude, fuck all this. Like, why are we doing this?
Well, this goes back to my point that I bring up every single episode, that we need a streaming option just for race fans, where you
Yeah.
pay an annual subscription or monthly, whatever they want to do, and we just get nonstop racing content.
Either that or do F1
NASCAR
style.
Network.
Or do it what?
F1 style, where NASCAR pays a certain amount of fees and there's no commercials during the broadcast.
Yeah,
interesting.
I like that idea a ton.
I just
You
think
got
everything's
something new.
moving to streaming. Like, why not? Let's just and we could still keep it on Fox or whoever still wants to have that as an option, but also have the streaming option where you have no commercial breaks, like just straight racing. I mean, hell, you can
That's how
put
it is in New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a few
I didn't know that.
commenters for the podcast in one of my videos this week that was saying, yeah, in New Zealand, it's just you just get pure racing sound for the commercial breaks, which is just basically what NASCAR puts on YouTube, because a lot of the advertisers aren't the same over there, so it's different. I don't know how true all of it is, but it was coming from the same amount of people that were from there over and over again, so there has to be some validity to that, but. There's got to be something different because like NASCAR's broadcast style is archaic. It's stuck in the 2010s, like the early
exactly.
2010s.
That's kind of my point about the streaming thing. It's like, let's just catch up to what everybody else is doing right now. And, the NASCAR fan base is dying, right? That's fine. I think more so it's just like it's condensing into the hardcore fans. And then in which case, why not just offer us a streaming service? If it's dying, like you say, there are still hardcore fans like us that they need to focus on. And I think offering a streaming service would help that.
The thing is, we've leveled off with like the fall, like from 2018 to now, it's basically flat or a little bit up. So it's like NASCAR
that's the
needs to
thing.
take the next step. That's
Right.
the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's actually dying. I think all you have to do is just focus on the product on the track and just kind of keep your head down and just try to deliver good racing.
Let things
and
fall
people
where they
will
fall.
come. Right. People will come. Just focus on good racing. And this season's been great. And people will eventually hear about it and they will come.
Dude, I've noticed more and more people like, hey man, like I was watching that race the other day. That wreck was crazy.
Yep. I've had a lot of my friends reaching out to me about
that.
And
I'm like, yeah, you watching NASCAR, huh? Okay. Well, come on.
Well, Talladega, I think it had the highest viewership in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It was
Really?
Like, yeah, it was like I think
see it.
4
million or something.
4.7, 4.8, like in that range.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's stuff to build off of. I mean, even people like, because I follow a lot of the TV rating stuff just because I find it fascinating. And a lot of the people I followed on Twitter were all just like, wow, this is pleasantly surprising. It's actually up, a ton this week. So,
I mean, the attendance alone, I was there with Dakota and they were saying it was supposed to only be 30%. And I was looking around and I was like, this is like 50 to 60%.
It felt like a normal race almost. I mean, there was different separated rows and stuff, but like there was way more than what I thought was going to be there.
Right.
It was
pretty packed.
It was packed, dude.
We were talking about, it's only 30%. We'll have plenty of room to sit wherever we want. We were sitting in random seats like we always do, but I was starting to get like sketched out. I was like, people are going to start asking for these seats because it was getting that like packed in.
Yep. And that's how it felt at Daytona too. Like our group sat on like the second to top row at Daytona just because it was the cheapest thing we could get.
That's
but
the
it was
best
like
place. You get to see the whole track.
Well, it was freaking freezing after it rained. it was a lot warmer in the lower levels, but we looked around when everyone was holding up 3 fingers, and I mean, it looked really full. Like they said it was 30. They said it was 30%. I'm like, maybe it was like 30% of the tickets they didn't sell, but it was like there was more than 30% there.
That's exactly how Talladega was. And I was looking online, especially on Twitter, trying to find a rough estimate of attendance. And everybody was just like, well, they were only allowed to do 30%. So it must have been 30%. And I was like, I was there. It was not 30%.
Yeah.
I promise.
I saw a video on YouTube. There's one, this dude films Logano's flip from the stands, and he's sitting right in the middle of the tri-oval. And he's like watching from one, it shows the 2 laps before too. So he's watching from one side, from the turn 4 side through the tri-oval to turn 1. And so you see both sides of the grandstands. It looked full. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
So full.
It was awesome, dude.
I think it was more full than when I went in like 2018. I'm gonna be honest. Like I went to a regular race in 2000 and I think it was 18, and I swear this was more full than that. So
Yeah. Well, one thing is like
when they open it up, it's gonna be wild.
How electric the race got too, like right there at the end with all the crazy moves. Like everybody's standing up.
Everybody's on their feet.
When they're on the backstretch, you hear the whole crowd roaring and cheering, and like it was like, dude, this place is electric, man. Like it made the whole experience.
Yeah, it wasn't just fans. It wasn't just t-shirt fans there. It was like hardcore NASCAR fans. Everybody's on their feet. I mean, it was.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I think the fall race is going to be freaking lit.
The energy was wild.
Just imagine when Talladega says we're doing full capacity. Right. I imagine it's going to be close to selling out.
Alabama has said when it comes to, and I mean, like these are like the state officials were like, when it comes to Crimson Tide football and sporting events in Alabama during football season, we're fully open.
That's the thing. It's Alabama. I'm surprised they weren't fully open. I think that was NASCAR's decision to keep it that, because I was like, we're going to Alabama. Everywhere we went, nobody's wearing masks. There's no like nothing. I was like, why is this not fully open?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I have a theory that the reason we haven't heard about Nashville, because we've heard about everything else around there. We've heard about the weeks before. We've heard about Pocono afterwards being 50%. And listen, if Pocono, with how strict they are, is at 50%, Tennessee's pretty much open. Right. Even Nashville, which is like the most restrictive place in the state, is like, we're getting rid of this June 1st or July 1st or something. I think it's June. I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville is the first one that's 100% capacity, honestly, if they just open it up to.
Do you think though NASCAR's hesitant because they haven't raced there yet, that they're going to keep it like at some kind of percentage, just almost as an excuse if it doesn't sell out?
I think there's hesitancy overall. But I mean, from what I've dug in and learned about, it sounds like NASCAR is like, as soon as we get the go ahead from track, state, and everyone who we have to go through, we're going back to normal.
Okay, well that's good.
I mean, so I would say that's their big goal there. So I don't think that there's really going to hold back unless there is somebody who just will not budge. Like that's the only way I think they're holding back. They decided the Talladega stuff earlier, so I think that's why they weren't open. But I think
that's the right move. I think NASCAR fans are itching to get back to a race, and I think that's why the atmosphere at Talladega was so electric, because these fans are just like, finally, I'm back at a race, and they're all excited, and it was a good race. So, yeah, I think it's a good move. I think NASCAR fans all around are just excited to get to a race again.
I feel like some of the more open racetracks are probably like, who's going to be first to let full capacity? Who's going to do it? And Atlanta was like, fuck you. Hit the button, like, we're doing it.
It's like The Office where they're all holding the finger guns to each other. Who's going to do it? Who's doing it?
I feel like there was one of those situations, and I'm assuming we're probably going to see more and more tracks follow suit, or probably even more, or it depends on states and NASCAR.
I thought Darlington was going to be it.
Well, they're doing the media and sponsors are allowed. So
I thought Darlington, just the state of South Carolina, I don't think ever had lockdown policy, so I'm surprised.
It's just one thing after another. I think we'll get back to normal, and we'll laugh about this in the future from now.
I think by the playoffs, I think the 10 playoff races will be normal. The one I'm really interested in, because of where it is in August, is Indianapolis, because I know they're not going to sell out, but I guarantee you we're going to have more people than the last time that there were fans there. Even if do 50% capacity, I honestly think that we could at least hit three-quarters of that.
Didn't the Indy 500, how many did they say they were going to have for the Indy 500?
I think 50%.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're going to show that, I don't get why the NASCAR race couldn't at least do something like that.
And it's NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader too. And I know that like Indianapolis isn't the greatest amongst NASCAR fans, even with the road course added in. But I think that just because of how much we're all itching to get back to it, I do think there's going to be a ton of people there. And I think it's electric.
And I think because they've dropped Chicagoland, that region has more limited options for races. So I could see people that normally would go to Chicago being like, well, let's just go to Indy this year instead.
I could see that.
Because there's not many. I mean, what else is the next closest race to there? Kansas?
Road America.
Road America?
Yep.
Yeah.
Road America's 2 hours north of me, and then Chicagoland was about 90 minutes south of me. So like when it comes to Chicagoland fans, I think that the ones that are more north will go to Road America, whereas the ones that we're in Indiana, we'll just go to Indianapolis, especially since it's a road course. Like that's going to be so much more, I think, entertaining than the oval.
See, man, I'm an OG fan, and I love the Brickyard 400. I know we gave us some good races, some bad races, but it's more just like the Brickyard, man. I was like, this is a crown jewel race. And then when they turned it road course, I was like, what the hell are we doing? But, you know, I got to just eat my words. And these road courses are producing some crazy races. So.
Well, that's where I'm at, too. I don't like the idea of adding all these road courses. But so far, NASCAR this year has not, you know, disappointed, honestly.
Yeah.
We can Daytona 500. Would we say that was the worst race?
Oh, 100%.
But even that, I'm like, it wasn't the worst race I've ever seen. You know, so if that's right, exactly. So if that's the worst race we're dealing with this year, I'm okay. Like, so I've become so much more optimistic about what NASCAR has done with the schedule this year because I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until they disappoint me. I think is where I'm at.
So that's kind of where I am too. I see. That's why I'm giving them more leeway than I would have back when Brian France was running things.
Yep, same.
Like, if Brian France was running things and they had announced the Chicago street course idea, I would have been like, this is so stupid. This is awful. Like, no, you're going to screw it up. But now I'm like, I'll give it a chance. I want to say, I'm going to go because I'm so close at this point.
Well, it's so close, right? Of course. Why not?
Even if it doesn't, even if I've moved by then and I'm not that, close, I'm still going to go just because it's such a major event. But it's like, I actually trust a bit where the leadership is going, at least with the scheduling side of things and the car side of things. And it's such a foreign feeling to me because ever since I jumped in, leadership has made stupid decisions over and over. And don't get me wrong, this current, I guess we can call them administration, has made some doozies. Oh, Jesus,
no, they're not perfect by any means. Yeah, but I totally agree. At least in scheduling wise, I have a little bit more faith in what they're doing. I still am not on board with the Chicago street course thing. That's the one where I'm like, okay, that's where I draw the line. I think that sounds stupid. But once again, I mean, I have to wait until they disappoint me. Really.
Well, it's almost like the dirt race. I was like, what are we doing? Are we serious? We're going to do this? And as it got here, made me a believer. I was all about it afterwards. And it's like, I feel like the street course, I'm like, dude, what in the hell? Is Tony Stark in this event? That's a good one, Nathan. I was like, what's going on, street races? But then I feel like as soon as we start seeing some pictures or some layouts, I'm gonna be like, okay, you got my attention.
That's the thing. If it actually produces good racing, I'll bite my words and be like, all right. I mean, just like the Bristol Dirt thing, I really enjoyed that race, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll shut up.
I'd be fine with Bristol Dirt sticking around, honestly, just because we're getting a short track added on with Auto Club, which I think that's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm ready for that one.
Yeah,
there is no way you can tell me the fact that they're basically going to build a city around this track. There's no way you can tell me they won't add a second date and try and make it the finale at some point. And then they're working towards, and again, I will eat my words here if they get this one back on the schedule. They're working on North Wilkesboro. I mean, the city itself has been putting up flyers and has been really pushing hard on NASCAR to do it.
I don't see it though. I still don't.
I don't either. I don't either.
That's too much of a stretch.
There's so much life to it right now compared to before.
That 100%.
It feels realistic. I will eat my words because I got into a spat with Save the Speedway on Twitter.
Oh no, I follow that account. Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
I mean, anything about North Wilkesboro, that account pops up. I half the time I think I'm not. But I will eat my words of saying like how wrong I thought he was if it does come back or if it's made into a dirt track like people are saying it could. Like I'll eat my words on that. And then just the fact that they could make a short track really anywhere else too. Like if Kentucky, for instance, they want to get that market back in, there's tear it down, make it a half-mile bull ring.
Iowa,
that one's like almost closed. That's a damn shame.
I feel
too,
bad.
I love the racing.
Yeah, Iowa produced great races, great tracks. I was like, really, like, man, Cup should go here. And then now they're just getting sent off to the wolves.
I don't, especially when they closed up Chicago. I was like, okay, that opens up the Iowa market. Like, let's move, another Midwest race. Put it in Iowa.
It is close to Kansas. I've been to 2 Kansas races, and you drive from where I come from. You drive straight past the Iowa Speedway, and like right after you turn, you're only maybe 2 hours from the Kansas Speedway.
Really? I thought it would be like 5 hours or something. Is it that close?
It's like Depending on how much you drive, I think it's like 2 to 3. Like it's actually
Because
relatively close.
Was it right outside Des Moines?
Yes, and then it's like also 30
Mhm.
minutes away from the Knoxville race that they're doing for the trucks
The
too.
truck race.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will be at that one for sure.
Damn,
I'm sorry,
bro.
I'm hitting up everything, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, man,
Hell
I kind
yeah.
of go into a bunch of races, and you're like,
But he's
here's my
yeah.
list.
Last year I had planned on going to between 14 to 20, and this year it's looking around like 14. Give or take.
Knoxville though, that's a good one to go to. That's definitely one that I would like to check off. Yeah.
They're not selling the tickets yet. Like I keep going on the
Mhm.
website every week, and they're like, tickets not available yet. And I'm like, we're a month and a half away. Like we need
Yeah,
these ready.
holy shit.
Or two, I
Yeah.
think. Well, yeah, I'm like, we're 2 months away. Like we need these ready, and even for the SRX too. Like with some of their tracks, they're like, I just was able to get my Nashville ones for SRX, which by the way are
Shit.
freaking cheap as hell.
Really?
Like the most expensive ones you can get are $40.
I didn't even honestly
that's what I
didn't
like
even
to
look.
hear.
I didn't even look at their
Okay.
schedule or where they were going.
Stafford, Eldora, Knoxville, Fairgrounds, and there's 2 others I'm forgetting.
See, what I hate is all these racing series. Every single one does this, whether it's local dirt tracks, sprint cars, whatever, any kind of racing. It's always the same little like area of like the kind of bleeds into the southeast and then the Midwest
Slinger,
and that
that's
area.
one.
And I'm out in Texas, and I'm like, nothing ever comes out to me. I
Help
fucking
me.
hate it.
Here's the ones we
Right?
got. Stafford, Knoxville, Eldora, Lucas Oil Raceway, Slinger, and then it ends at the Fairgrounds.
These are all the same like tracks that like
Yeah.
World of Outlaws goes to. Like every other, it just pisses me off because I'm like I'm nowhere near any of these.
Sounds
I
like
would
you gotta
love-
get out of Texas, man.
Yeah, well,
Just going to I've learned that Tennessee and Nashville is like in the middle of everything. Like,
Yeah, man.
you're
It's-
close enough to go up north and down south.
Come east.
Yeah,
Come east.
well, like
Mhm.
being a Midwesterner, like 4-hour drives are nothing for us. Like it's just, oh yeah, it's a normal drive. So like they're like, dude, that track's like 12 hours away. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just an afternoon drive. Like we'll get there, no problem.
I mean, trust me, I live in Texas. I understand long drives.
Yeah, because when my girlfriend and I went to Daytona last August, and we left at like 5 a.m. from Wisconsin, and we just drove 18 and a half hours through to Jacksonville. We're
Dude,
just like, screw it, let's do it.
Me and you have been at like all the same races. Just didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah, I think
I'll say
so.
I was at both the 500 and that last Daytona race. Daytona's
Yeah,
only a
that-
5-hour ride for me.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I think
Well, I
it's
guess-
only like 10 from Nashville. So
I guess
Not too
moving forward, another thing that this Kansas race brought to our attention, which is something I think people have kind of always thought about, but it's really popping up now, is yellow flags. Should that count towards laps?
This is one I'm passionate about. Every
Ooh,
time
you're passionate about it. Okay.
I used to do I used to be a believer in their bullshit fan council, and I would do it every week after the race. And then finally, I was like, "This is stupid. They're clear. Like this is pointless. Why do I do this?" But every time it was like final comments, I was like, caution laps should not count towards final or total laps, or I'd be like, stage cautions for sure should not count towards total laps. I don't think, or I know it kind of would mess with fuel strategy or this and that, but my thing is like, I'm paying to be at the race and watch racing, and then you're running 5 of the 10 final laps under yellow. It's like I came here and paid to watch a race, and you're just running it under yellow. I feel like when we have like, made up stage cautions that we shouldn't. We go to Bristol, we have stage caution. It's 10 to 15 laps. That just took laps out of the green flag racing for the stage 2 or stage 3. It's like some of these races they do like quickie yellows back to racing, but then sometimes they sit there and log 6-10 laps under yellow for a stage caution. I'm like, dude, why are we taking this much out of the next stage? And then this today the caution came out with 10 to go, and then all of a sudden like we have a green white checker. It was like 8 to go, whatever. My thing is like, okay, look, I know it probably wasn't a wreck for a red flag. Stop the car, stop the race, get all that cleaned up, go back green next time by. We would have had a 6-lap shootout instead of a green white checker.
Well, why do you even need a red? Why not just not count the yellows?
Well, that's my point exactly. But it's like these yellow flags get out of hand sometimes. And like Iceberg was saying, I feel like maybe that was a Fox decision. Keep running them yellow. Let's make this a green white checker now. I don't know.
Iceberg, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
I can see it. I think that the problem is that, like I said, it affects fuel strategy. So running laps that don't count would still affect the competition. Like you'd have to add in those laps that don't count, and I think that might add in a bit of confusion for fans who are maybe new to it too. And then my thing for stages, at least, is I personally don't think we should have cautions at all for them. To be completely real with you, I think just let them go green.
Give them the point, like keep it green. Give them the points. Keep going, like the race goes on.
Yeah, but I think this is something that's like it's been so like just engineered into the sport for so long. I don't see a point in changing it right now. I think that if NASCAR's done this forever, like with different races. I mean, 2015 at Phoenix with Dale Jr. I'm a Dale Jr. fan. I will admit that NASCAR purposely left that race yellow for 30 extra laps so that Jr. could get that rain win. Like, yeah, I'm not blind to that. So NASCAR, I think, would just use even if they didn't have yellow flag laps. If say somebody's running low on fuel, if they didn't want that person to win, they'd just keep them running under the laps that don't count. But it would ultimately still affect the competition.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think I pretty much you hear what Nathan said is what I think. Well, we need to have kind of a point in the race. I don't know if it's 10 laps or 5 laps or what it is, where you say, okay, cautions no longer are going to count as a lap. Because I think it is kind of bullshit where if we're under caution, now we're going into overtime when like this should have never, happened. Like I'd like to see them actually race it out to get a win rather than just like, 1 lap to go. And whoever's in the lead is pretty much game over. So, yeah, I think if it's 10 laps, I don't know what it would be, but I do like the idea of at a certain point kind of cutting it off and saying no longer will it affect laps.
With that, then you could also argue about getting rid of green, white checkers and going to the scheduled distance too, if the yellow flag laps don't count. I mean, I'm a traditionalist, so I'd be fine with going back to basically how it was pre-2004.
You know how many Talladega races I went to where the yellow came out with 7 to go and Jeff Gordon won under yellow?
I don't know. I mean, one.
They were so hard, man. Like you'd watch a race and the caution come out with like 6 to go, and that was the race, and you'd be like, "Son of a bitch!" Like I'm a fan of the green white checkers. I'm a fan of the stage breaks. It gives us give your commercial. Let's regroup, re-rack them. Everybody wants these restarts. I think it gets a little much.
Well, that's it. NASCAR loves the restarts.
Yeah,
I mean, they love.
If we don't get the tire call, we don't have any of that shit at the end of this race today.
But I think you still get the restarts if you just don't count the laps that are under yellow at the last like 10 laps. Let's say you're still getting your good restart. Like NASCAR gets what they want. I think the fans would get what they want. I think the drivers would get what they want.
It's just maybe it's something that could be discussed. I'm sure it won't be. I'm sure it'll never happen. But I've seen NASCAR do some crazy shit the last couple of years. So who knows?
That's what I've learned. I've learned like if it's even on the table, even if it's not on the table, like they can do it. I mean, I wasn't expecting half of the shit they brought up in the last year and a half to actually happen. The playoff revamp, for instance. I mean, I think we only have 1 or 2 mile-and-a-half, or maybe 3 mile-and-a-half tracks at most in the playoffs. Like we have Texas, Kansas.
We have the worst one, but yeah.
Like I said, Texas is a lost cause. Like,
I
think they should dig that thing up and turn it into a 3-mile super speedway. Like just turn it into the old Tiburon.
We had that, the Texas. What was that? The Texas World Super Speedway. Yeah, we had that, and then we decided to build some stupid track up in Fort Worth. That's nothing.
I'm actually stopping there on the way to Coda in a few weeks. I was thinking, I'm like, should I stop by Texas Motor Speedway just to like see what it's like? And I'm like, that feels like a giant waste of time. Like,
have you ever been to like Kansas or any other mile-and-a-half? Because
I went Chicagoland for 15 years straight.
So you've seen it, You'll literally go and you'll go, wait, am I in Chicago? What's going on? Or am I in Kentucky? What's going on? Yep. Yeah. At least Kansas has like the casino and shit all around it.
Kansas is freaking awesome.
I love it. The setup there is perfect.
Yeah, that's what Rattlesnake keeps saying. I want to go out there and see it.
My dad in 2019, he's like, "Hey, I have this weekend off. We should go to this." And I got him and I tickets for his birthday. And we went out there and we got to be in the infield, luckily. And he was just like, this place is freaking awesome. You can go to a casino. It's like right in the city. It's, everything is modernized in there. Like, because I went to Chicagoland. That place, I can tell you, I told the guys in the podcast back in 2018, I'm like, this track will be gone by the 2025 deal. Like this track is so run down. Like our RV, because we'd say in the infield with it, our RV sunk into the freaking mud 3 years ago. Like they're like, you could sit on the back stretch if you want. We're like, no, we paid to be in turn 4. We're going to be in turn 4. Like, right. It was. I
will say at least Texas Motor Speedway, the facilities are good. They are investing in it. They built like a new Torchy's Tacos in the infield, where you can drink like margaritas, and like they're investing in it, and they're building hotels and restaurants and everything around it. So they're definitely investing in it. Well, it's just the track itself sucks.
That's like
I don't know what else to do.
Daytona set the new standard, dude. With the rebuild of Daytona, it is, par none. It is amazing there. You got Phoenix with the rebuild. All these tracks are making new amenities. I mean, you were just at Atlanta with me, Rattlesnake, and Atlanta's at least like they made a new little bar area right there at the track.
Yep,
new little
that was fun.
Area.
We went to a little bar area.
A couple years ago, they were like, get eliminated and sit down and shut up. Like that's kind of how it was. But I've seen a lot of these tracks are making new little kind of stuff for the fans, and
right.
We got the Atlanta project, rumor kind of deal. Is like I think a lot of tracks are paying attention to this and trying to keep up.
Right.
I have a question for both of you guys because you've been to Atlanta and I haven't. What are your guys' thoughts on the possibility of going back to the old layout that's like Homestead? Yes,
I'm for it.
100%.
Like I love Atlanta for I've been going there since I was like 5 years old. It's it's my home track. But then it's like even as a kid, I was like, well, Texas looks a lot like Atlanta and Charlotte. All these 3 tracks, the dog leg, the little short track. But I was like.
And Texas was good at one point.
Texas,
I do want to.
It was.
Right.
Well, it was getting perfect.
Redeem my flag back here a little bit.
I like Texas from the COT years on. Like I thought the COT racing at Texas was better than the Gen 4 racing for the most part.
But yeah, I'm honestly for the old layout for Atlanta, especially if like we can maybe put some like Homestead-esque in the turns. Like let's get a whole new rebuild, whole new track. If we're gonna do it, do it.
Yep. I agree. I think go all out. I think, redo the track itself, but also they're talking about doing up the outside the track, kind of like Kansas. Like, just go all out.
Just build the city around the racetrack is basically what they're doing. Like, and I think that the oval layout, I think, produces better racing for stock cars than the tri-oval layout.
Yeah.
I like I said, I went to Homestead, and even with 2019 not being the greatest race, it was still freaking awesome in person.
Homestead's
that's
awesome.
Another track.
I love
that's another track. The infield there is freaking awesome there too.
Is it? I've never been to Homestead. It's just too far south. I can't believe you even win. Who the fuck goes that far south?
I got flown out. So
guys, me and my boys were like, dude, we got to go to a championship race. Like that's on the bucket list. I want to go to a championship race. Yep. Well, let's go to Miami. Awesome. Next couple of years, we're going to Miami. And then they're like,
and that was the year that they.
It was like, oh well, forget it.
Yeah,
I mean, now it's Phoenix on the
person. It was like because I have video of both Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch's championship burnouts.
I've seen that. Y'all are like up on the pit wall. Y'all got to run out.
Well, so the teams run out first, and then it's like it's this waiting game. It's kind of like with the reopening. It's this waiting game where
like a free for all.
Yeah, they're like, you gonna go? No, you're gonna go, and then like that one brave photographer goes out, and the officer's like, no, and then just everyone storms across the wall. Like that's literally what it was. Like,
dude, that would have so been me. I'd be like, fuck everybody.
I cut my leg open because there's a bar. There's a bar like about 2 feet off the ground. That they don't tell you about there. And so I jump up over the wall for the Reddick one. And I jump up shin first right under my knee and just tear it to hell. And like Darren's like, dude, you're bleeding. I'm like, get out of the way, let me film it. I'm like, I don't care. Like, dude,
nice.
I've heard that Phoenix is really good in the infield. Eric was there before the shutdowns in 2020, and he said it was awesome. He was saying it was pretty awesome. He said the same thing about Talladega, like it pretty good overall, but I just don't know how it can compare to Homestead, man. Homestead.
Well, Talladega is the best. Talladega is the best.
Yeah. Talladega is just roots, blood, NASCAR.
Right. That's on a whole nother level.
I want to go down Talladega Boulevard, just like shoot a mini documentary. I'll do a live stream down Talladega Boulevard and probably get
Well, if
kicked
you
off
need some
YouTube.
escorts, boy, we got you.
We'll be
we
security.
know the ins and
Back
outs.
up. Well, speaking of Kyle Busch, he I guess to wrap things up, he finally got a win.
Yeah.
Is Kyle
Sweet
Busch back,
weekend.
or is this kind of just he got his win and then maybe he'll go back to a couple like top 10
He
finishes?
got it a lot earlier this year than he did last year. I'm kind of honestly nervous. Like, hey, Kyle just swept the weekend like he used to a lot of weekends, and I'm like, 18's kind of been up and down here. He's had good runs, and now he got to win early in the year. He's in the playoffs. Like, do we need to look out for the 18 here? Is he going to start racking off some wins? I don't know.
I think that they're building up to it. They've shown a lot more speed this year, and just bad luck has taken them out. Like, there's a few times where I think it was Dirt Bristol, where like just dirt got clogged into the grill when he was running away within the first stage. Yeah. So I think stuff starts going right for him again. I think he's right back in the championship conversation. I do want to say really quick, I picked him to sweep the weekend on the podcast, and I got it right. So
I saw that.
I have to say it.
I saw that. Yeah, nice pick. We just had Dalton Good on, and of course he's a hardcore Kyle Busch fan, but he did also pick him, which take that for what you want, because he was gonna pick him regardless. He made some good points though. He honestly was like, Kyle Busch has gotten a lot better. It's his birthday. He won on his birthday like last year.
Yeah, we shout out Dalton for that one.
Yeah, he did. He did call it.
I picked Larson on that episode, and I got totally screwed on that restart.
I think I picked Larson as well.
So did Eric and Darian.
Yeah. Well, that's a good pick. I mean, he can run the highlight. Yeah. I mean, he had a shot there.
Hey, how about Kyle Busch, Truex Jr., and Bell all won before Hamlin this year? Just thought of that one.
I immediately, because I know Eric got a bit of a clip in Hamlin's promo video. About,
I've seen that, dude. That was a sick promo.
Well, he goes something like, what did he say? I think it was like, write it into existence or something.
Yeah, that was crazy. That I didn't even know it was from Denny. I just saw Eric like talking, and I thought it was an Eric
like
video.
Denny Hamlin Racing.
Yeah.
I quote tweeted it. Let me find it. Yeah, he said, "Speak it into existence." It's all the stuff about him. He's gonna win, and I just said, as soon as he drove himself into the wall, I put, and now drive it out of existence. I'm like, Denny's a smartass on Twitter. I think I can be one back.
Dude, he's been really funny lately. Like he's been
he is really funny. I think Nathan's got a point here. I don't know if he's
hot take.
Yeah, well, but I don't know if Kyle Busch is back yet, but I think the broadcast said it best. Like, this is the most mature Kyle Busch I think we've ever seen. He seems super mature. He seems a lot more level-headed. He did the crying thing this time, but he was getting booed while he was talking about like,
I think there was like
losing
one
a
guy
child with his wife
like really
and stuff.
Loud.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Boo. Yeah. Do the cry face to that guy.
It was like Kyle won, and I was like, cool, man. Kyle got a win.
He won. I said this in our last episode. I was like, I think we're going to start not hating Kyle as much. He seems to be maturing. He's not dominating like he was. He doesn't necessarily have the shitty attitude like he used to. During the post-race interview, he seemed pretty grateful. He was talking about how the team's really trying to put it together. And then he was talking about, like losing a child with his wife. And it was really emotional. And I was like, wow, like I'm actually feeling for Kyle Busch here. And then the guy the whole time just like, boo, boo. And I was like, dude, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Kyle Busch's like redemption with the NASCAR fan base, or I guess like his, turnaround in perception reminds me so much of Jeff Gordon in the mid to late 2000s. And it's that cycle, man. Like, I mean, I remember like it's not even NASCAR, other sports too. Tom Brady was like the most hated person on the planet, and then he started not doing so hot with New England, and he became like super popular with Tampa Bay. Same thing with Peyton Manning. But it's like I see that like Kyle Busch, I think, is going to start getting more and more liked over time, and it's Joey Logano is just the man who's just going to be hated. I mean, everyone hates Logano. There's people who are just like, good point.
That's a good one.
But you get leniency if you're a professional race car driver. It feels like there's shit that Tony Stewart was doing in the early to mid 2010s where it's like, Man, I'd be called a brat if I threw a helmet at Matt
Oh
Kenseth.
yeah, Tony Stewart. Yeah,
Yeah.
he set the standard.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think part of the maturing thing comes from like his personal life, his marriage, being a father, everything he was going through. I think that actually had a lot to do with it. I don't know if it's necessarily the age. He was always kind of a crybaby. I think it was just the fact that like what he goes through on a personal level. I think that's helping him mature a little bit now.
But we
just
need
as
those
a human being.
personalities, even with like these up and coming Xfinity drivers.
Well, that's why I was kind of happy to see him do the cry face, which I didn't think he was going to do.
There's old Kyle.
For once, I actually was like, you know what? I'm happy he did it. It was like the only time I've ever seen him do it and been like, good for him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, where I started to change my perspective on Kyle Busch was the slide job race. I was at that race, and I actually was cheering when he started doing the cry. Dude, when Larson went into the grass and the dirt went over him, that was directly in front of me. It was freaking nice. Dude, it sucks. I was gonna record it, but I got so freaking into the race and decided, like, screw it. This is awesome.
I do that every time. Me and Dakota joke about how we always go into a race talking about all the content we're gonna do, and then like halfway through the race, we're like, shit, we haven't done anything.
We've just been drinking and yelling.
We've just been drinking and watching the race and loving it.
It's funny. People always, they'll rip on me a lot because I put a lot of the clips of my own races that I've been to, like, in my videos. And people are like, Jesus, like, I've seen this one and this one a few times already. And it's like, well, I don't want to get copyright claimed. And people keep telling me to make my own shit. So I'm making my own shit.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Who do you think the next driver to get a W? Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott. Ooh. Those are the guys that, like, what's going on? Like, one of them, all of them should be having multiple wins by now. One of them has to get a win here soon. I personally think it's probably going to be Chase Elliott. What do y'all think?
Well, Coda is coming up. I say Denny, man. Denny's been plugging away these top fives and just about won today before he hit the wall.
I would like to see Denny never win again. I think it's kind of funny that he's cursed. It's like he's so good, and for him not to win almost seems like a joke of a curse.
See, this one's tough to me because Chase's team just is off this year. It's like just that
he's been super quiet. They've been super quiet.
His crew has been awful.
But what he finished? What he finished like fifth today? I mean,
he was up there, but he was never somebody who I was like, man, Chase Elliott.
He finished fifth, yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I never considered him a contender. That's true.
I could list up. I mean, Larson, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, freaking Ross Chastain had more potential to win today. I think
Brad K. Tyler Reddick had more potential.
Reddick,
Blaney, yeah.
I mean, we're listing off 7-8 drivers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Better. So I can't see. Maybe he'll win Coda, but if he doesn't win Coda, like I don't see. He's not really been as good at Sonoma as he has at Coda.
Well, that's the thing is like he wasn't really making a lot of noise in the playoffs last year, and then boom, 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 the last final 5 races, Tony Stewart fashion, he takes the championship.
Denny has the most raw speed right now.
Yes.
3, but Kevin Harvick has a better trajectory. Like the rest of SHR sucks right now, but Harvick has been getting more and more speed. Like Nathan said, he's been creeping closer and closer to the front.
Oh, dude, trust me. I was watching the restarts today.
But we talk about shitty teams, and like SHR is just terrible this year.
They're screwed when Harvick.
At least Hendrick overall is like doing well. So
the only thing I'm really hoping for with SHR is like, let's give it to Briscoe as a Xfinity driver coming up into his rookie season with no practice. He's getting used to these new cars. Now he's going to have to get used to a new car next year too, with probably no practice. It's like give Briscoe some years.
Back next year.
I hope so. Well, you might know more than I do. Briscoe,
Bob Tucker said that they were for next year.
I hope, because I miss practice so much. But let Briscoe get a couple years under his belt, and I could almost see him pulling like a William Byron. Like takes a couple years once he gets things going.
I could see him being a William Byron.
I think Briscoe's gonna be great one day.
William Byron's been crushing it.
Dude, Willie B, man. I'm liking some Willie B.
Yeah.
I think he got his 9th straight top 10 today.
Yep. I mean, he's just young, man. He's just needed those years to really like get more of the experience under his belt. That's what I've always said about him. Like we need to give him some years. Like he is very young. I think he's going to keep coming into it better and better.
Yeah, I can totally see him winning a championship. Like not this year, but like soon.
I agree. I see him as a future championship driver.
Yep.
If I can give a final verdict though, I'd say Harvick barely edging out Hamlin, just because there's something about Denny Hamlin, he can't close it out.
It's a curse.
Yeah,
it's a curse.
Really is.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I've met and talked to Hamlin a few times. He's a really nice person.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
I like him.
Right.
Like, it's just for some reason he gets in his own head. I mean, I think he was the one who had to hire like a sports psychologist to get him out of his funk after 2010. Like if he needs that much outside sourcing to get him back into contention mode, I don't see him. You know, the mistake he made today with Larson breathing down his neck, I think it was.
Yeah.
A Kyle Busch or a Kevin Harvick or a Chase Elliott doesn't make that mistake.
All right, here's a good one. What's going to happen first? A Chase Elliott win or a Bubba Wallace top 10?
Ooh.
Oh, this is going to be in trouble with a few people on Twitter. Chase Elliott win, easy.
Yeah, dude, Bubba.
That team is not
I
right.
think that was a
Bubba's
fair
pissing
question. I'm not trying to like piss people off. I'm being
No,
honest.
I know.
I
He
was all
hasn't
for
got
it.
a top 10 finish, and he has
Hasn't-
the
hasn't
speed.
got a
I've seen
top
him running
15,
up
has he?
top. Yeah,
No,
I think he's gotten.
I
Didn't he
don't
finish
think
like 11th or 12th at one? I'm pretty sure.
I think maybe he got one. He might not have, but I know today was the first time he
wanna
finished
say
ahead
he
of both JTG cars.
He's had a couple runs where he like ran good and had bad luck.
Oh yeah, there's been
more.
multiple races, at least in like stage 1 or 2, where
But
I'm
there's
like,
been a
oh
lot
shit,
of
he's up
times-
front.
There's been a lot of times where it was his own damn fault.
I don't trust his team either. I'm like I am not a Bubba Wallace hater. Like I'm viewing just him as the driver right now, and he's a good enough driver too. But for some reason, the team can't put it together, and when the team can, he has something go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, his crew chief made some pretty bad decisions.
I feel like they
weeks.
got given like they're the guys. They got all the groceries and shit in their hands. Like Joe Gibbs is like, here, I'm giving you all the stuff, and they're like, oh fuck, like just fumbling everything over their own ass almost every week.
They didn't get a car until like 3 or 4 weeks before the 500,
and that thing was a fucking rocket.
They were,
Their
he's good at
equipment-
super speedways.
You have to admit though, this season they have had really good equipment. I've seen it running up to, I've seen him running well in it. That's the thing. Maybe it is the crew chief. So,
Bubba gonna Bubba.
They got stuck in their own hype train. Like Jordan coming in and expecting 2 to 3 wins off the bat.
That's what I said from the get-go. I said this is not the position as a young driver you want to be in. I know it seems perfect, but if you fail here, like it's a big failure. And it's easy to fail here because now you're the head of this new hyped up team that's going to take a while to actually get good. But if you don't produce immediately, it's on you. Whereas if you're like Willie B with Hendrick, people are willing to give you a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
I just think we got to be patient with it. Like the new team, everything they're doing. I mean, they're doing okay, but like, say we get a couple seasons here with 23-11 racing, and they could be some heavy hitters.
That's the thing. I hope to see the team around for a long time. Like, it's great that we have this team here. So I hope they get it together because it's great seeing these new teams in NASCAR. I think everybody wants to see new teams succeed.
I'll give them until about the Olympic break, about around halfway point to establish themselves. But it's like if there's not noticeable improvement by the end of the year, then there needs to be some serious questions.
Well, and Denny kind of mentioned that in that interview.
Yeah, he had that hot interview this last week
where he said kind of the same thing. He said, like, you got to look at it. Like, look at where we should be finishing and why we're not finishing there every single race. One of the best comments, though, was showing Denny like leading every single race and never winning.
I totally see us going.
Kind of got a point there too.
The August Daytona, and we're talking about Bubba has to finish ahead of so and so and so and so to make it in the top 16, or Bubba has to win to make it because he's 20th in points.
Well,
I totally
his best
see that
shot
still
is going to be
being
Daytona or Talladega. I mean, it's a super speedway. That'll be his best chance.
Him and 20 other drivers.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. I mean, yeah, I guess he's 20th in points. That is interesting too, how high up he is in points. It must be he's had a few stage wins, right? So I think that's probably it. Because I think he's above.
No, he got his first one at Dega.
Yeah, he got his first one at Dega, but
Why is he so high in the playoff points then?
I think he had some good stage runs here and there.
Why is he ahead of like Tyler Reddick, who's had like 4 top 10s?
Because Tyler Reddick
5
also
top
had some
10,
like P30,
4 top
No,
10s, and 1 top 5.
He's not he's barely ahead of Suarez right now. He's
Oh, then he
20
just surpassed Reddick because Reddick
Yeah.
was
no,
below him.
Reddick's above him, above Bubba.
Well, Reddick just surpassed him then this week
Yeah.
because last week he was below him. And I thought that was interesting because you just look at top 10s, top 5s, wins. Reddick has 4 top 10s, 1 top 5, and then Bubba was just zeros across the board. And I was like, I don't know.
Man. Stages.
Yeah,
Stage
it had to have been stages. Yeah. What actually, you have the updated who's in it right now? Do you want to go through at least the top 16 before to wrap this up?
Well, yeah. Do you want me to go through the points people or all the winners too?
Let's just do like top 16 for points. So who's in?
All right. Truex, Byron, Logano, Blaney, Keselowski, Larson, Kyle Busch, Bell, McDowell, and Bowman all got wins.
Okay.
Hamlin is 11th, then Elliott, Harvick, Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Matt Benedetto.
Dude, Chris Buescher has been. I mean, he got like P11 today. It's been super solid. Or no, he's P8. P8, but he was like, he can drive the shit out of that 17 car for all it's worth. He's like Austin Dillon 3. Like, he's driving a P20 car up to P10.
I mean, who's behind him? It's like Kurt Busch, for instance.
Dude,
Kurt Busch isn't even in.
Kurt's having a freaking like that. They don't even show him on the race. Like, I forget he's there. I feel bad because I like Kurt in the one and Monster and everything, but I'm like, dude, he is not performing.
After the crash at Atlanta, that team just has not gotten back on track.
Yeah, good point.
Stenhouse is up there. Stenhouse is doing surprisingly good this year.
Yeah, I did. He's making some moves. One thing's kind of been like little fizzle for me is like I'm a little bit on the Ross Chastain hype train, but like he was up there today, had his best looking moments, but it was because of strategy, and then he got mired back to P14. But like I feel like Ross being super aggressive is he's driving a P25 car and fucking it all up.
I wouldn't be surprised if McDowell down the line. I mean, that team has been running just consistently. I mean, there's 13. Yeah. That's not bad for them at a track like Kansas. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak out of the first round and then you got Talladega. I mean, I don't think it's unrealistic to make the final 8.
No, like how sick would that be for that 34 team and like their sponsors and stuff? Like,
yeah,
that's badass.
It'd be exciting for them. Yeah.
That's one thing where people were like, that's a waste of a playoff spot. I'm like, dude, like
I hate that shit.
Give these guys a chance. We're all out here racing doing the same
That's
thing.
the worst argument. It's the waste of a playoff spot. I'm like, fuck you. Like if you get the win, you're in.
I get that in like 2016 when Chris Buescher won the fog race.
The Pocono rain out. Yeah.
The man barely squeaked into the top 30. I get that one. But it's like McDowell is outrunning Alex Bowman right now.
Yeah,
he's not
here to play, dude.
He's outrunning guys. I know he's outrunning Buescher and DiBenedetto. He's right around the same range that like Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch was in.
That's one thing I told Rattlesnake. I said, dude, what if McDowell had won Dega? Like, like the second driver to have 2 wins. Like, how sick that would have been. Like,
that would have been awesome.
McDowell to flex on everybody with 2 wins.
Yeah, that would have been great.
You couldn't say he was wasting a spot then, and he's got
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's here to play, and they're having their best season, like, no doubt.
I do think that guys like Hamlin, Elliott, and Harvick are going to break through. I'm just wondering, like, are there going to be 3 people that win below
Duking
them?
It out. Yeah,
I mean, because even if Hamlin doesn't win, the regular season champ makes it in no matter what. Yeah. So 15 winners could really start doing this.
The only thing is, they're like, there's no way we're going to get 16 winners. There's no way. Then, like, we keep plugging off these little, like, gotta win. And I'm like, it's not that far away now. And
6.
I'm almost, like, rooting for it. Like, I'm like, every week I want to see a different winner. I'm totally rooting for it. I'm like, let's see a different winner every week. I don't care who wins. Like, let's see a different winner. I want to see
this was what, the 11th? Was this the 11th race of the year, I believe?
11th race, 10 winners.
11th race, so there's 15 races left.
15 races left. It's totally doable.
We need a new winner every 2 to 3 weeks.
That's very doable.
Yeah.
With how this season's been going, if it's any other season, I would say no. But with how this season's been going, I think that's doable. Well, there's a handful of drivers right off the top of my head that normally don't get wins that I would be like, I could see them actually winning.
Any of these races could turn into a fuel mileage race or something, and all of a sudden we have, Tyler Reddick staying out, or Ross Chastain takes 2 tires or something. Like, we could get some random winners, and then we have our big dogs. Elliott, Hamlin, Harvick haven't won.
Right. So, those are the ones that we're waiting on to get the win. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Buescher sneaks one in, honestly. I wouldn't. I think he has more of a chance of winning a race in the next 10 or so weeks than somebody like Kurt Busch or Matt Benedetto has. Yeah, Kurt Busch always seems to have one flare up. Like
he'll sneak it in.
Green white checker stays out with 2 tires or something and gets.
He'll sneak it in. He always does.
Nashville. Watch who wins Nashville. He's been the one testing out there the most.
Yeah.
Like every week he's out at Nashville testing, or every other week. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kurt Busch just comes in there and it's just like, oh yeah, he's just gonna sneak by on the outside, 3 wide over. I don't know, he'll beat Denny Hamlin.
There's one,
of course. It'll have to be.
It'll be one race where they brought a hot rod and everything lines up.
Right. Yep.
But I'm excited for it. I really think it's possible. I don't think it's probable, but I think it's possible.
Yes.
All right, Iceberg. Thanks for coming on, man. We had a lot of fun.
We really appreciate it, bro. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to meet up at some races. I'd love to meet up in Austin if you're available. If not, we'll meet up in Nashville or a million of the other races we're all going to.
Hell yeah.
We'll figure something out.
I should know about the week before both of those, what exactly I'm doing. I'm just sort of I play everything by ear because that's basically how it's all going.
Same. I don't plan anything out. So.
But if tonight's proven anything, is that I'll talk your ear off.
That's okay with me.
We're here for it, boy.
Yeah, we love that.
Sweet. Then I'm down.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you around.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.